Hey kid, it's Dad. Today's question is, what are boat noodles? How do they get that name? Today we're talking about Guay Teow. Now you may not know it to look at me, but I am really not a big food guy. The types of Thai food that I like are really the staples, really basic stuff. The only problem is, when I first got here, I didn't speak much Thai. And maybe some folks out there can relate, but I would run across some kind of food that I really liked. And I have no idea what it is or what it's called. And that was the case with this ubiquitous noodle dish that's everywhere in Thailand. So Guay Teow is a Chinese import that, like every other import, gets Thaiified, meaning it gets its own special Thai twist. So this kind of noodle soup comes down from China, and I'm sure it was here in the kingdom for a long time, but it started to gain prominence around the reign of Rama V. Rama V is building a bunch of klongs, a bunch of canals up around the Rangsit area north of Bangkok. And the workers are mostly Chinese. So just like everybody else, workers got to eat, and Guay Teow follows them down. But they're working in water. So the way that the noodles get served is on boats. And that's where you get the name Guay Teow Rua. Rua means boat. So there's your boat noodles. And that's why your classic Guay Teow Rua is going to be served in tiny little bowls. So it made them easier to serve. Because if you're serving on a boat, that means all of your equipment has to be there on the boat with you. Back when I was trying to figure out what it was called, I'm looking for the name, and I hear Guay Teow, and I look up Guay Teow, and it just means noodles. So I'm thinking, well, that can't be it. And I'm having trouble figuring out the Rua part. I hear that Rua means boat, and I think, well, that doesn't have anything to do with food. That can't be the right one. Well, yeah, it was. But Guay Teow nowadays, it is kind of synonymous with this dish. So if you say you want to go out for Guay Teow, everybody's going to know what you mean. The word is also a kind of a complicated Thai word. Let's see if I can remember how to spell it. It's Gokgai Mai Jutawa. That's that little plus sign that's above the Gokgai. So it's a tone marker. It means it has a rising tone. So it's Gokgai Mai Jutawa Wa Wan Ya Yak. And then Teow. So you see Sara A, that's that vowel that kind of looks like a number 6. And then Dot Tao. Above the Dot Tao is Sara E. Above that is another Mai Jutawa, so you know this word's going to have a rising tone, and then it has a Ya Yak. Now, this is a vowel cluster, it means it makes a diphthong. Your Sara A, Sara E, and Ya Yak together make the Ia sound, and your consonant in the middle is Dot Tao, and it's got that Wa Wan at the end, so that gives you Teow, so it's Guay Teow. Remember not to say a T there, it's a unaspirated T. Teow. So that's the word. What is the food? Guay Teow is like a stew and a soup, and it's both of those and neither of those. It's a dark soup, and it gets its color from the blood. Yes, it is a kind of blood soup, although you can have it without. You're going to see it presented in a couple of different ways. That's where I wanted to turn. So when you see a restaurant that's got the boat, and you know that it's going to be Guay Teow Rua in the classic sense, that means you're going to get namtahn. Sometimes you'll also see a light colored Guay Teow. That's Guay Teow Nam Sai. Something else you're going to hear is, what kind of noodles do you want? See, here's what confused me about the noodles. You will hear the person ask you, Sen arai. Now, it sounds like sen means noodles, right? This is what kind of noodles? See, this is what screwed me up for the longest time. I remember looking for the word for noodles, and I had already eaten Guay Teow, and I saw Guay Teow when I Google noodles. And I'm thinking, well, no, that's a dish. I don't want a specific dish. I just want to say I'm in the mood for noodles. I'm not in the mood for rice, you know? And I was convinced that Guay Teow was not the word for noodles, because when I eat Guay Teow, they ask me what kind of noodles I want, and they say Sen arai. So I think that's got to be it, right? No. So if you spend any time with Thai, you'll see that there are classifiers. A classifier for everything. You know how you say when there's a group of sheep, it's a flock of sheep, a bunch of cattle, it's a herd of cattle. It's kind of like that. And the classifier for noodles is sen. When they say sen arai, it's which noodles. Just like if I say I'm going on a motorcycle ride and someone says, oh, another flyover. I'm not going. And someone says Kikan, that means how many motorcycles are going with you, because Kan is the classifier for vehicles. So that's why you hear Sen used that way. So what kind of noodles are there? What kind of noodles can you ask for? You're going to find Guay Teow served with Sen Lek, Sen Mi. Sometimes you will see it with banh mi. Those are those yellow noodles. Sometimes you will see mama. Not everybody has said mama, though. Now, I said that there were two different kinds of places, though, that you're going to see. We've got our number 1 and number 2 Guay Teow places. Having a Guay Teow place that you like, it's kind of like having a pizza place that you like. Everybody has their own favorites, and we've got 2 favorites. I am not a fan of the Guay Teow where, you know, you have to eat 5, 6, 7, 8 different bowls and they're all 10 baht a piece. Just give me one bowl of food here, please. So anyway, 2 different ways that you'll see it presented. You'll see the classic Guay Teow, and we have a place like that that we really like, not that far from the Central. I'll put a link in the description. And they do it up really nice. Notice what I said about the boat imagery? So we got boat stuff. They put that crackling pork in a little boat. Crackling pork, pork skins, pork rinds. These are all different words for the same stuff. In Thai, it's called cab moo. It's something else that I loved the pork skins here, but I never knew how to say them for the longest time. So if that's what you're looking for, that's the word. So here, back on their sign, there's the word Guay Teow Rua Ayutthaya. Now, this is a style. It says like Ayutthaya style, even though it's not exclusive to Ayutthaya. So this place is really nice. They got the really nice tables. They put a lot into appearance, and you see here they also got the kapu. They also have that little dessert here, kanom tuai. That's a coconut custard type of dessert. The Guay Teow itself is very good there, but it's not the best. The best, like it often is here, this kind of no-name shop over here. And this is just Guay Teow. It's not Guay Teow Rua, just regular Guay Teow. And you're gonna see just regular Guay Teow more often than Guay Teow Rua, unless you're at like a floating market or something. A floating market is usually gonna have a Guay Teow Rua guy who's inside the boat selling it. And that's why it's just harkening back to the old-fashioned way that it used to be served. So regular Guay Teow, check this place out. It's absolutely nothing fancy, just regular steel tables. It's like so many other roadside restaurants here in Thailand. But this Guay Teow is amazing. Look at that meat. Look at the meat in this Guay Teow. This is the only place, the only Guay Teow place that I've ever been to that has these huge chunks of meat inside of it. Oh, and both of these places are super cheap. Your mom and I eat a full meal for about 100 baht. That's for both of us. That's with the cat moo. That's with 2 drinks. Can you believe that? 100 baht. That's something else that makes Guay Teow so popular. So you see, it's pretty simple to make. But when you see this big circular pot and it has those divisions inside, it's got one part for the soup, it's got one part for the noodles, and that third part is going to depend on how many different kinds of Guay Teow they have, whether or not they have nam sai. Now, your Guay Teow Rua is not going to have nam sai, usually. Your generic Guay Teow place like this is going to have Guay Teow nam sai. I'm telling you, it's not the one that you want. So it's Guay Teow. So, yeah, that's what happens. You have something that just tastes amazing, and then it's a matter of scouring the earth trying to figure out what that thing is so that you can order it and have it again. And that's, you know, what I did my first couple of times coming here, because you get tired really fast of pointing at a picture on a menu. So we might do a couple of more of these food videos. Again, I'm not a big foodie guy, but I do like to know how things got to be so popular, where these foods came from, and what they're made of. And I hope that you find that interesting too. And the types of food that are going to show up here are really basic staples. I think those are just the best. If you are liking what we do, as always, like, subscribe, share, tell your friends. If you got questions about maybe some other food that you'd like for us to take a look at, if it's something that we eat, then I'd be happy to talk about it with you. Or if there's something that you think the kids should know about, I'd be happy to talk about that too. So that's going to do it for this one, kid. Until the next video, I'll see you later. Oh my goodness, what is the matter with you?